Hi, I'm Lauren Lambert. I'm the attorney here at Arrow Legal Solutions. I need to give some of my clients and potential clients some pointers on how to make sure they have greater credibility when they're presenting their workers' compensation case or social security case, or how to present themselves when they're going to a medical exam by an insurance doctor or a social security doctor. And I'm not talking about a lot of the very complex things. I'm just talking about how to present yourself verbally. And here's a mistake that a lot of my clients make, especially those with less education or that are blue-collar workers. And it's because they're used to hearing these kinds of phrases, but these kind of phrases are used by individuals that sit in judgment over them to deem them to be incredible. Now, there may be good reasons why they use this kind of language, but the fact of the matter is you should understand that it makes you unbelievable. Judges and doctors don't want to believe you when you say these things. And here are some of the common phrases that I often hear my clients use. If I had to say, or they say, I want to say, or they say, to be honest. These are all things they say before they provide an answer. Or, if I had to guess, or, well, if you forced me. Now, they'll usually be asked a question, and then they'll say these things as I said, and then give their answer. Well, let me give you an example of why these kind of phrases don't work. Let's say that your girlfriend or boyfriend wanted to know this, and they said, do you love me? And what if your response was, if I had to say, then yes, I love you. That doesn't sound very credible, does it? Well, if a judge asks you, well, tell me, are you able to work? If your answer is, if I had to say, then I would say that I am unable to work. No credibility there. Next phrase, I want to say. What if your potential employer you went to a job interview asked you, can you do a good job? And what if your response was, well, I want to say that I could do a good job. Yes. No credibility. So if the judge asks you, well, do you think that you are unable to lift 10 pounds or more? If you answered that question by saying, I want to say that I can't lift 10 pounds. Well, you don't have any credibility. Let's say that you're a father and you ask your son, son, did you do your homework tonight? What if your son said, well, to be honest, I did do my homework. Well, he's saying he's honest. He must be honest. What if a cop pulled somebody over and they said, I need to know if you've been drinking? What if you said, well, officer, to be honest, I have not been drinking? Well, if you have to say every time you answer a question, to be honest, then the person that's hearing that is thinking, oh, well, they must be dishonest all the other times when they don't preface what they have to say with to be honest. Don't use the phrase to be honest. Just be honest. Don't label yourself as honest. Be honest. If a judge or if a police officer asks you, well, are you innocent? Or a judge asks you, are you innocent of the charges? If you had to say, well, Your Honor, if I had to guess, I would say that yes, I was honest. No, don't guess. Just give your answer. So there's lots of really weaselly things that we get in the habit of saying to preference a response. Get rid of that. Figure out a way to get rid of that in all your speech. Here are the second type of problem that many of my clients make. They are the only ones that know the problems that they are having, and they are often asked, well, do you have pain? You'd be surprised at how many people say, well, yeah, I have pain, and then when they're asked, Well, tell me where your pain is. I don't know. Well, tell me how strong a pain you have. I don't know. I just have a lot of pain. Similar questions are, well, how often do you have such bad migraines you can't work? Well, I don't know. I just have them a lot. Well, how often? I don't know. I just have them a lot. You have to know. You're asking the judge to award you benefits and for society to pay you money because you have problems that are causing your inability to work. Have an answer for those things. Know what your problems are and how often you have them, how extensive or how serious they are, how severe they are, and have an answer for the judge. Another problem is that clients often will say things like this. The judge will ask, well, if your pain on a scale of 1 to 10, if you have this pain all the time on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the greatest amount of pain, 1 being the least amount of pain, what is your pain? And the person will say, well, my pain is a level 10. And the judge will say, well, a level 10 is when your arm has been cut off. And then they'll still say, well, my pain is still a level 10. Well, you wouldn't be stating that if you're sitting in a chair in front of the judge that your pain is a level 10 unless you were screaming or passed out or going to the emergency room. Or they will say things like, I can only sit for 15 minutes, but they've sat in front of the judge or they've sat in a doctor's office for 30 minutes or an hour. Don't say that. They'll say, I can't lift anything, and they'll lift their hands up, and they'll come into the examination room with their purse, their cat, or their dog, or they'll pick up their toddler. Be specific, and don't say you can't pick up anything when you can indeed pick up something. They may say that they only sleep 3 to 4 hours a night. Usually that is not true. And what I mean by that, they may go through a period of time when they're only sleeping 3 or 4 hours a night or during a 24-hour time period, but that usually cannot be sustained, and they will crash when they are so sleepy that their body just falls into a stupor and goes to sleep despite the pain, or they will nap during the day. Rare is the person that only sleeps 4 to 5 hours or even 3 or 4 hours. Most people sleep more than that, and if they don't sleep that amount, then they will go through periods where they hardly sleep at all and periods where they sleep a lot. Be precise in what you have to say. Another problem with credibility, without giving an explanation, are for people that go on vacations, or a judge will often ask, do you have any pets? And a person will explain, well, yes, I have 5 dogs, 3 cats, a batch of rabbits, and some chickens I take care of. And on top of that, I take care of my grandson and my disabled sibling. Well, if you're doing all those things, a judge may consider that that demonstrates you are able to work. So you need to make sure you explain to what extent you do those things. And even better, I know that it doesn't take much effort sometimes to take care of some animals, but here's the way judges think. If you're able to take care of 5 dogs and 3 cats and a bunny rabbit and a chicken, most judges will think, this person must not be very disabled. If they have such a lot of energy that they can give some of that limited energy to 5 dogs and 3 cats, they must not be disabled, and I'm not giving their benefits. Another problem is people that go on vacation. Now here's the reality. Very disabled people can go on vacation, but it is very different what they do when they go on vacation from what an able-bodied person does. A lot of times they are helped to the airport, they are helped into the airport, they are helped when they leave the airport, and when they arrive at their destination, they're helped to wherever they're going to stay, and then they do very little while they're on vacation. Make sure you explain to your doctors what you are or not able to do on those vacations. If you do all these things, if you learn to talk without weaselly phrases at the beginning of your statements when you're answering questions. If you're able to make sure you don't exaggerate things like the amount of pain you're in, what you can or cannot lift, how long you can sit, how far you can walk, and if you reduce the amount of distractions you have in your life, like cats and dogs, you get rid of those so you can show the judge that all of your energy is going towards taking care of you and not a bunch of other things, and you put into context activities that you're involved in, that will substantially help you increase your credibility before judges and before doctors who stand in judgment over you, and increase your ability to get your benefits. Thank you.